Hello everyone! Today I'm very excited to share with you the new junk journal that I made. I'm not quite finished working in my previous journal, but I have to be honest, I just wasn't feeling inspired by that journal anymore, so I wanted to create something new that was more colorful and festive for fall. So when creating this journal, I tried out a few new techniques. I added some stitching, and I also made it from scratch using a cereal box, and I also tried out a no-sew binding method. And as you can see, there aren't a ton of pages in this yet, but the nice thing about this technique is you can always add pages in later on. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I did was cut out the pieces for the covers and the spine from my cereal box, and I used the measurements shown on screen. Next, I'm attaching my 3 pieces to the fabric. I'm using my Tombow Mono liquid glue, which I'm a pretty big fan of. It definitely worked well for this purpose. After I glued down the first piece, I realized that it is better to glue it with the cardboard facing down and the cereal box side facing up. That way you won't be able to see the cereal box through the fabric, but luckily my fabric is pretty dark, so that wasn't a huge issue. After letting the glue dry, I went ahead and added the stitching using my sewing machine. I decided to use a zigzag stitch all around the edges of the book. Since I'm not super experienced with using a sewing machine, I was working pretty slowly so that I wouldn't mess up. You probably can't tell since this footage is sped up 8 times the speed, but I was trying to be as careful as I could. Of course, it did turn out a bit crooked in some areas, but I'm totally okay with that since this is a junk journal and it's not meant to be perfect. I felt that the cereal box by itself was not sturdy enough to hold on its own, so I cut up a second cereal box and added another layer on top of the first cereal box. This definitely helps with the structure of the book. The next thing I did was add some packaging tape to the center of the spine, and I folded it down in between the creases. That definitely made a huge difference in strengthening the spine and making the book easier to open and close. I also wanted to trim away some of the excess fabric, so to do this I simply used my rotary cutter and my ruler as a guide so that I created an even border all around the edges of the book. Of course, you can use a pair of scissors as well. Then I cut away the corners. I cut at a slight angle to make it easier to fold the fabric over the edges. I also glued down a piece of fabric to cover up the packaging tape over the middle of the spine, but I actually ended up removing that and replacing it with some cardstock later on. And then I just used my same Tombow Mono adhesive to glue down the edges of the fabric. So I ended up working on this the following day, which is why I'm wearing a different sweater in this part of the video. I decided to decorate the inside covers using this cardstock paper. It has a music design on it, and I don't think it's actually a real song, but it looks really nice with the fabric that I chose. It has the same craft color that's in the florals on the fabric, and it also contrasts with the background color, which is a dark navy blue. After that, I just used my ruler to mark out where I wanted to make the holes for my spine. I really wanted to try the no-sew binding method that I've seen on Johanna's channel. I've also seen Barbara from 49 Dragonflies do this as well. Basically, you use the crocodile to punch a few holes near the edge of the spine, and then you can also set an eyelet through those holes. Then instead of sewing your signatures in, you can just tie them, kind of similar to a traveler's notebook style. I ended up using 3 holes for 3 signatures, and I have to say that this method is so quick and easy. I definitely recommend it for the convenience, and it's also very flexible because you can add and remove pages very easily. To tie in my signatures, I took a piece of string and pulled it through the center opening. Then I inserted my middle signature. Then I took the left side of the string and pulled it through the left opening in the spine, and then attached the left signature. Then I pulled the string back through the middle of the spine and repeated the same step on the right side of the spine. I took the 2 ends of the string and tied them in the center of the middle signature. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, this method is pretty simple and quick. So now I'll do a flip through of the book so you can see what it looks like before it's all filled in. My inspiration for this book came mostly from the fabric I used on the cover. I really wanted to incorporate light and dark colors, as well as some florals and autumnal themes. The floral images that you see here are actually photographs that I took myself and printed out onto cardstock paper. I've also included some digital printables that I purchased from Etsy, and I printed those out on cardstock, regular printer paper, as well as tea-dyed paper. I have some scrapbook paper in there, music paper, book pages, and I even included a brown paper bag. I am definitely feeling very inspired now that I've created this new book to work in. If you would like to see what I create in this journal, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching!